All right, all right, all right. We are back once again with the ill behavior. This is the ill Bill, and welcome to the Chill with Bill show. Hey, whatever podcast, you know we love it. OnlyFans girls and their impact on men and pornography. Let's get into it.
I got one more question. It's an interesting one. So do you guys talk with like your customers and stuff? Like do you guys like message them?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many married men do you guys have that follow you?
Tons.
They don't typically tell me if they're married or not, but I would assume.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
I would assume there's
quite a bit.
plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, for some people, like subscribing to an OnlyFans is like another form of pornography for them. Like they're messaging, yeah, but
This is not the same. Subscribing to an OnlyFans is not the same as pornography. Pornography, you just, random people doing their thing, you know what I mean? Maybe you pay for it. There's no reason to, though, because porn is free. But subscribing to an OnlyFans, you are giving a single person, a woman, money directly for her to do acts and say things and whatever, you know what I mean? Like this is something completely different. Your resources are being allocated. A certain amount of them, okay, are being allocated towards another woman. I would definitely call this cheating, okay? If you're subscribing to an OnlyFans model and you got a girlfriend, there's something wrong with you. Go ahead.
they're not physically cheating. So I guess
To be clear, if you're subscribing to OnlyFans, something wrong with you, period. Don't do it. Don't be giving these girls your money, your energy, your time, your resources, okay, for women who wouldn't urinate on you if you were on fire, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like they wouldn't even look your way. Just don't do it, okay?
it depends on the boundary of the relationship, but I don't think subscribing to OnlyFans is cheating.
Do you know divorce rates have gone up at the same rate as pornography watching has gone up? So I think there's an argument that
I don't think there's a correlation because, again, divorce rates, like 80% of divorces are initiated by women, right? But men are watching pornography. And I have to assume that women aren't initiating divorce just because their husbands are watching pornography, right? There might be something else going on there.
well, I would argue that watching pornography is very much infidelity because you're getting off to someone other than your spouse.
I mean, I guess. I mean, the way I look at what I do, I don't think about, I'm making this for a married man to cheat.
Because you're getting paid for it. Hey, look, watching pornography isn't necessarily infidelity depending on what the boundaries of the relationship are. If you're only watching pornography and then you're not engaging with your partner, your spouse or whatever, well, that could be an issue. Again, it's based on the boundaries, right? But men have an insatiable appetite for women, right? It is what it is. And if you're being monogamous to one woman for an extended period of time, years, the rest of your life, whatever it is, right? Maybe this is a way to kind of get out some of those urges without actually, disrespecting the relationship. Again, it depends on the boundaries, but porn is one thing. I don't recommend it, right? It has the ability to ruin relationships, and from a man's perspective, it has the ability to ruin your perspective on women, right? Because then you see women as these objects, as these only sexual things, right? And then you look at your woman, and maybe your woman doesn't measure up to this like fantasy, this these like fake camera angles and makeup and blah 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 that pornography provides. The one thing I will say is a positive about pornography, other than women who couldn't make money elsewise making money. If you're a guy who's ugly, you're broke, your status is low, you know what I mean? You don't have anything going for you. This is a method, an outlet to release some of that frustration, right? Without you going postal, and committing acts of violence, because that's, the most dangerous demographic in the world, right? Are angry, lonely, single, men, right? Like that's who commits, acts of violence and stuff. And so it's the same excuse for why brothels could potentially be legalized. You know what I mean? Is to kind of satisfy the urges of these men who wouldn't get it otherwise. And who could potentially their emotions could get the best of them, right?
Cheat on his wife.
Right.
I'm providing a service. Like 80% of men don't have sex, or don't have a girlfriend, don't have access to it, whatever, and they rely.
I think she just pulled that number out of the sky, right? We know that 30% of men ages or 33% of men ages 35 to 18 to 35 are either virgins or haven't had sex in a year, right? 80% of men, I think she's just pulling that number out of her ass. If it was 80, they have this 80-20 rule, right? And the 80-20 rule is 80% of the women are sleeping with the top 20% of the guys. And obviously that rule changes a bunch of months. That doesn't mean that 80% of men aren't getting sex. That would be crazy. If it was 80% of men, there'd be like wars happening right now.
On the girlfriend experience, access to OnlyFans, pornography, whatever. And so in that context, I'm providing something that they're missing out on in their life.
Do you think if
Just
porn
by
weren't a
training them.
thing, then maybe
You're not providing something that they're missing out on. You're providing a substitute for something that they're missing out on because they're the ones, doing what they got to do, and you're just a visual stimulation. There's no interaction. I like the interaction is, typing or whatever, and for all we know, you got a guy that you're paying to do that for you because there's no way you're typing to all these guys. You know what I mean? Like, so you're not providing a service that they wouldn't. Of something that they want and wouldn't get elsewise. It's like watered down, you know what I mean? And you're extracting their resources from them and doing it.
maybe more men would be dating and asking girls out?
That's a great question.
I don't know, because with the dating standards now, like a man's got to have a lot going for him to even be in the dating pool, because women.
He wouldn't have to have all that if you guys weren't making $300K a month on selling feet pictures, right? That's the issue. If this didn't exist, if OnlyFans and the ability for these random women to make all this money or whatever didn't exist, their standards wouldn't be this high. But because they can get it easily, right? And they have guys simping over them online all day, every day, you know what I mean? Get it easily. Now standards have gone up and up and up and up and up, right? It's a social media thing, but it's also an access thing, right? If none of this existed, if women didn't have the ability to just give it away and make bread without giving it, actually giving it away, right? Then that means they would have to behave in such a manner to be able to get a guy, and guys would have more access to women out in the real world who don't just look at them, like ick, right? And more relationships with porn, right?
Date up. So, I'm sure it doesn't help.
So
but
I would argue that porn enables men to not get their shit together, and they don't have to.
Bingo.
You
And also,
reckon?
too, I think with the level, and like to your point, there are so many specifics in the industry.
Ladies, do you see a problem with men in the modern world? Yeah. So here's the question I have. What do we think about the modern state of man? Is masculinity in a healthy place in the world right now? Do we have enough real
Absolutely
men?
not.
Are we lacking in real men? Yeah.
Yes.
I see women.
The whole real men thing is kind of BS, right? Because what is a real man, and are any of these women real women, right? Like, you sell your ass, your cheeks online for $4.99. Does that make you a real woman? I would argue no, right? I would argue no. And if that is the case, who are you to define what a real man is? If this is what you're doing, the guy eating Cheetos on the couch, right? He's like the perfect fit for you because you're both lazy as hell.
Been nodding. We're lacking in real men.
Yeah.
Do we think that access to pornography and just an insane abundance of it is contributing to the decline of masculinity or not? It's contributing to it?
There's a shit ton of factors.
It is contributing to it a little bit, but there's always been porn. There's always been brothels. There's always been, like magazines and that kind of thing, right? That is not this. This is not the major overwhelming factor of the decline of masculinity. We know the decline of masculinity is based upon how men are being raised. Okay. two-parent household, masculine father in the household, raising his boys to be men. Okay, those boys could still watch porn, right? Like they could still catch a Playboy or whatever, you know what I'm saying, and do their thing. That doesn't mean they're not going to grow up to be masculine men, right? Not having the father figure, the masculine father figure in the household is the major reason for the declination of masculinity.
But I think since COVID, like everything has just been propaganda, this porn.
COVID has been, it's 2 years ago, 2 years. It's not even a blip on the like spectrum of nothing has changed so dramatic. I mean, yes, OnlyFans exists because y'all had to stay home. Y'all had to figure out how to make a bunch of money without doing anything, right? So that explosion has happened, but it's not like more men are watching porn now because of COVID, right? Like porn been around, Bang Bus been around way longer than COVID. I'm just saying.
On that, like there's shit everywhere that's contributing to the.
But let's hone in
demasculinization.
on the porn thing, to the point that Bridget made before. Right? She mentioned how divorce rates have increased in correlation with access to porn. I think that when dudes have access to a ton of on a daily basis and they can just jerk off and become coom brains, and their vital life force energy is constantly sapped, I think that is contributing to the decline of masculinity around the world.
It's definitely not helping, but that's been since, let's call it 2002, 2003. I don't remember exactly. When AOL was cracking, that's when pictures started kind of coming up in some video, right? And then somewhere around the MySpace, Facebook areas, when it started to blow up, right?
Yeah.
Would we agree with?
But I definitely know in 2002, there were tons of sites you could pay for, and see whatever it is that feats your fancy, right?
With
I would
this?
agree, yeah.
Do we think that by profiting off of men being coom brains, we are helping fix men or harm men in the long run?
Harm, of course.
I don't control who purchases.
I mean, it's harming them.
I
but
don't control who purchases. The only reason why you're able to be an OnlyFans model is because you know that there are hella dudes out there who are harmed by this, who otherwise would be forced to make a different choice, but instead they have the ability to do this. And you're like, I'm not. That's like saying, I'm not forcing people to drive cars, but I'm pumping 100 bajillion gallons of oil out of the fucking earth every year. You know what I'm saying? Like it. Yes, you are contributing, a major contributor to this issue. And to say that you don't share or bear any responsibility is disingenuous as hell.
it's their decision if that's how they want to spend their money.
Right.
So.
Aren't men supposed to be the leaders in society?
Not all men are leaders in society. You guys are basically saying that every man out here has to be a leader. That's like me saying that every woman should be able to max out and get hers without selling her butt on OnlyFans, right? And y'all would say elsewise, right? Like you're just, if that man's not a leader, you're not whatever the hell you're supposed to be either. Y'all are in the same camp, in my opinion, right?
Yes, we are. Are women
then-
are women adults who can make responsible decisions?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but isn't porn the same thing as prostitution? And prostitution has been around since the beginning of times.
No,
I don't think
it's not.
prostitution.
It's not the same. It's not the same because prostitution, technically speaking, is a fair and even exchange, right? You're paying a currency for getting something that you want, which is sexual attention from a woman. Porn and OnlyFans is the extraction of male resources with the manipulation of that person. Like the men aren't getting what they want out of it. It's not like the men want to only see you on television. No, or on the computer or whatever. No, they want to be with you sexually, and what you're providing is this fantasy possibility based off of a financial exchange, right? No dude is sending you $10,000 in cash or whatever, and with the hopes with no hopes and dreams that he'll ever be able to sleep with you. No, he somehow, somebody's like, this money, I got it. I don't care about it. And hopefully she'll give me box if I meet her one day. Right. Like it's not an even exchange. Prostitution, very much even. You're paying for something, you're getting exactly what you're paying for in return, or what you want in return, right?
I'd say
porn
it's
are
the same thing.
Yeah, I don't think they're the same thing. Similar, they're in a similar vein, but one
it's-
involves actually having sex with a woman and the other doesn't.
It's in the sex work category for sure, but prostitution, there's usually a pimp involved. It's a lot.
Is involved in it's in the sex work category, yes. And porn magazines and children's stories are in the same category of books, right? Like, I mean, but they're not the same thing, right? Like that's a dumb argument. And prostitution, you could say that it involves pimps. There are, I'm sure, a high percentage of prostitutes, have to work with pimps and stuff, but there are plenty that don't. Also, I think it's, how you move, right? I don't
A
know.
lot less safe.
the
It's
sex
physical.
industry
But
has
sex
been along,
work
yeah.
has been around since the
It's
beginning of
the oldest
times.
profession, like
Yes.
one of the oldest professions,
Yeah.
yes. But there's many different. Right now, it's so easily accessible because it's all online.
And to be clear, it used to be shamed upon, right? Sex work was not glorified. Y'all are on a damn podcast talking about how much bread you make, right? You're glorifying sex work now. It's just completely different.
Okay.
So they don't have to go like driving down Figueroa in LA and pick up a hooker. They can just go on
Okay.
their phone and
Okay.
see
mean,
whoever
that's-
they want.
And
That's
see,
everything's
she
accessible
said it.
online now.
They can pick up their phone and they can see whoever they want. It's not an even exchange, right? They pay to see whoever they want. Whereas driving down Figueroa or whatever and picking up, a prostitute, while I don't recommend that, you know what I mean? Technically speaking, there is an even exchange there. Like, each other's bodies are being exchanged, and compensation for the act is being handed about, right? So, and a man, technically speaking, like a man is getting more out of it. Again, I don't recommend this because when you're, if you're with a prostitute or whatever, there's no emotion, there's no real connection there, you know what I mean? It's just the act, right? But if that's all you're looking for, you know what I mean, then there. I recommend going and meeting somebody out in the real world. Touch grass. Go out and touch grass.
Now too. So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
that's just the way of the world now. Like you can buy your groceries without leaving the house. You can get your medication without leaving the house. You can get your household products.
Funny story. Everything you're saying involves an even exchange. You're paying for something and you're getting something in return. You girls on OnlyFans aren't giving shit, right? You're supplying a dream is what you're doing, and you're getting
Everything's
money
online.
for that.
So it's not to compare the two because obviously they're uncomparable.
Yeah, because if a man were to give you $400 in your Cash App and then you were to show up to his house and do the thing, that would be the same as ordering your groceries from Safeway.
One's a benefit, has a direct correlation benefit in society, and then another one is debatable.
But that's just supply and
Somewhat.
demand. Like
Somewhat.
There's no debate about whether or not OnlyFans models are supplying a benefit. There's no benefit. The models are the only ones who benefit. The guys don't. Their resources are just being extracted and they're getting nothing. In 10 years, a huge amount of their resources will have been extracted and they will have nothing. They won't have a phone number. They won't have any relationships. They won't have any social connections. They will have nothing for that, right?
demand for it is more than ever. So women that are taking control of their finances, their business, I mean, it's easy money. Girls obviously
There you
can make
go.
money doing this much.
It's easy money. It's easy money, right? That's all it is, right? That's what it boils down to. So just be real about it. The only reason why you're doing it is because it's so fucking easy.
Much easier than any man can. There's a demand for it, so a lot of women are supplying it. That's just how it works.
Do we feel like we're potentially robbing the future of civilization for that easy money?
Potentially, but there's a lot of shit that's making America
There's- yeah, it's
downfall
not
and the
only
rest of the
that.
world. So
Again, so it's okay that you add to it, right? Like you don't care because there's other shit, right? You could always say that, well, there's something else that's a downfall. There's something else that's bigger than what I'm doing. So what I'm doing is fine. That would be like me saying, hey, I'm going out and robbing liquor stores at gunpoint. But you know what? There are countries getting bombed every day. There are people getting killed every day. So my contribution is so minuscule that it doesn't matter. Like, come on, man.
It's just a part
so
of it, I
much more.
suppose.
I feel like a lot of people are very lonely too. So
And y'all ain't
Probably made
helping.
more lonely by jerking off the.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
y'all ain't helping. You're right. There's a lot of guys out there that are lonely. And if one of y'all normal women prior to OnlyFans met one of these normal guys, you could have all of his resources and y'all could have a happy life. Like, that would happen.
and it's not something that just happened 2 years ago, because OnlyFans really blew up, especially in lieu of COVID, right? And so, but I've noticed, and even being in healthcare, there is a lot of lonely people, and that's truly what makes everybody sick. But being in this industry, I've also seen that. So, but yeah, are you? Why are you looking at me like that for?
No, I'm just listening.
Okay.
I'm just listening.
I was
Yeah.
like, what? Yeah.
I'm just listening.
But I do agree. Yeah, anything that's, if we do too much of anything, it's not going to be healthy, right? And so we give access too much to, it's not going to be healthy at all for no one. And so that's when people are going to stop even chasing a relationship.
But it's super
It's already there. It's already there.
addictive. So porn is super addictive.
Right.
So like people
Thomas
want to
the
stop
poet
and they can't.
donated $100. Having recently received a terminal renal cancer diagnosis, my relationships with God, family and friends have significantly improved. I sincerely hope each of you finds the right balance in life and your relationships. I think even sex work is an L.
Thomas the poet. That was poetic. Thank you. Much appreciated.
Most definitely in LA. Do what you want to do, but don't sit here and say you're not contributing to the problem. You definitely are, right? You're creating a bunch. When these dudes grow up, I mean, like, I don't know. OnlyFans may be around forever. OnlyFans might get banned in the future. Who knows? And when it does, I'm sure something else will come along. But the point of the matter is that all these guys who are feeding into this machine, man, they're getting jack shit out of it. And in the end, they're going to be, the ones that are, going up into spots with the AKs and sprays. You know what I mean? Like, this girl, where was she at? This girl right here. Hold on. This girl right in the middle there. She's right. There are a lot of lonely people in this world. Y'all are not helping, right? Like, creating an environment where men can go to get this addiction and this temporary fix does nothing for the future of society, of families, and to be very clear, for y'all, it's completely ruining your lives, right? Because as you get older and want and change the easy money path and you start wanting things that are real and tangible and have some kind of meaning to them, it's going to be a lot more difficult for you to find that, because anybody who gives a damn is going to look at you and say, oh, I'm good, I'm going to choose the next one, right? Anyways, this is the Chill with Bill. Thank you for listening to my BS, and I'm out of here. Peace.